Yeah.
She's a wonderful child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God somebody does, because there's, well, it's hard to find advisors for these classes, and it just kills us.
I'd like to welcome everyone to this evening's meeting and call it to order. This is the June 8th, 2016 edition of the Pullman School Board Board of Directors meeting, and we have a reasonably full agenda this evening. So next item on our agenda is the flag salute, so if everyone would please stand and join us.
Okay.
Well,
Legless.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
We'll take a brief moment to get the flag out.
I like the color guard.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. That was my fault for not checking on that before the meeting, so my apologies.
I made it.
The next item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes in the agenda this evening?
No changes.
No changes?
I will move that we approve the agenda as presented this evening.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda as presented. Any further comments, questions, or discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of approving the agenda as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. And that brings us to item number 4 on our agenda, which is the visitor section. And this is the part of the agenda for anyone wishing to speak before the board as either an individual or a member of a group. Visitors are asked to address the board by approaching the microphone and state their name and address prior to presenting their information, and visitors are asked to limit their remarks to 3 minutes. The board will listen but not discuss the topic at this time, and the board may consider moving that topic to a future meeting date as a discussion item. So anyone that would like to approach the board this evening, Don, this would be the correct time. Please come forward.
Good evening, board members. My name is Don Peters. I'm at 1745 Northwest Lamont in Pullman. I am president of the community band of the Palouse. Changed our name, still getting used to it.
Yeah.
Accompanying me is Ms. Denise Snyder, who's our musical director and conductor.
And I live at 205 Southeast South Street. I
And-
forgot to give the address the last time I did this.
Okay. You've seen Denise before. She was here with our past president, Dave Siemens, and the topic is suggesting that the Performing Arts Theater in the old high school be carried forward to the new lovely facility that you have in this building. And so the band feels very strongly that we should continue with his legacy, and they have signed a letter of suggestion that the band, or that the board take this under advisement, and it would be our dearest hope that you move forward with that. Denise, you have any further to add on that?
My primary thought is that just because the space changes doesn't mean the legacy of Dana Cleveland should be forgotten or changed. He's still a foundational person for the Pullman School District and for the music program especially. So I hope we'll call it the new Dana Cleveland Performing Arts Theater. So we hope that you'll keep his memory and legacy alive here at Pullman High.
Okay, I don't know, do we have anything further to add? We have a letter that's signed by the board of the community band as well as members. There's several copies, and there's also some historical data, clippings from the Moscow Pullman Daily News that details the first naming in 1992. So enjoyed the commencement very much. Pulled it off, your usual approximately hour, 30 minutes, and it was very enjoyable. So thank you for all the good work that you do.
And congratulations to Dr. Sturm on his retirement. Hope you and Nadine have fun up there. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Don and Denise. We appreciate your input, and we'll look over the information you provided us.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public that would like to address the board on something that's not on the agenda this evening? All right, I don't see anybody rushing to the podium, so I believe we'll move on to reports, correspondence, and programs. First, the PHS ASB report. Do we have one this evening?
I don't see anybody.
No? Okay. Board reports. Susan Weed, do you have a report for us this evening?
I'll just say I loved graduation. I love the tradition of the wackiness and then the seriousness when Joe gets into his speech. And I know last year we got somebody wrote a letter from, he was visiting from another school district, and he was appalled at the antics. And I think that is one of the best traditions ever, because it's our students celebrating their achievements, and that's kind of what graduation is. I mean, they get serious. It is a serious occasion, but still, I think it was well done, Joe. Except for all the selfies. Did you start feeling like a movie star for a while there?
I'm sure they all quickly got deleted.
Oh, no. No.
I still have mine.
They're But it was a fabulous graduation, and so thanks to Sherry, I keep calling her Sherry Luring, but Sherry Comp and Joe and the band, everything was fabulous, so well done. And that's it.
Okay, thank you,
Well, I
Susan.
just echo that and say how much it means to me and what an honor it is for me to be able to participate. And why I enjoy sharing the duties with my fellow board members. I would, if I had my way, I'd get to shake every one of their hands. And maybe I'm going to do like Allison did, that when she wasn't handing out diplomas, go to the end of the line. And that way I can get them either coming or going. It was a wonderful ceremony. I think I mentioned to Mr. Winchell, who's probably listening out there, I particularly liked the activities athletic section, in that it wasn't film clips. It was, as we all saw it done, particularly featuring the seniors in things that were representative of every one of their sports and activities and so on. And I thought that was unique and original and really innovative, and to me it was moving. So thank you again, everyone that was involved in preparing for it.
Okay. Thank you, Carl. Appreciate that. Dr. Munch-Rotola, do you have a report for us?
Yeah, our artist for the public art here at the high school came and made her first site visit on Monday. Spent about 2 hours walking around the site. We got to see more of the larger body of her work and hear more about kind of the lexicon that informs her creative process. It is just tremendously exciting. You guys are going to be blown away. Whatever this ends up being, it's going to be great. That's my report.
Okay, thank
It's
you
in the
very much.
minutes now, isn't it, Shannon? So that if
Right.
it's not, but yeah.
Yeah.
Atsuko Ichikawa? Yeah. Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Allison. Appreciate that report. I have no report this evening, so we'll go on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Sturm?
Thank you. Just a brief update on construction. I think I sent out this afternoon a observation report from our project manager. Things are moving along quite well and quickly. Because it's not finished, this rain makes it a little wet inside in places, so that will be fixed, but that's part of the price you pay for phasing a project and having temporary walls and things like that. But I'm certain that will go away as soon as everything's finished. But we have some cost items that were in discussion. We had a good meeting with the contractor and the architects and our project manager on Tuesday. And so we're trying to work towards resolution on those cost items that are not resolved yet. And Jefferson Elementary, they're putting the roof, help me again. Trusses, thank you. I never can come up with that. It's permanently blocked out of my head. The roof trusses are going up on the west end, on the west end of the school, and the east end is all
boxed in.
completely boxed in. So they're making good progress, and they're doing some catch-up on the west end, but making some progress. I'm sure this thunder and lightning and rain is going to slow them down a little bit, but not too much, I don't think. So that's making good progress. And as I think we sent an email out that the bonds for the new elementary school actually did close. So the money should be in the bank as of today. So those bonds did close.
And we got the confirmation.
And we got the confirmation on the class size reduction grant, $7.4 million. So we're pretty excited about how that all came together in the end. And with that, are you going to introduce the
Sure,
handbook?
absolutely.
Okay.
So, Chris Franklin and Justin Polstad have been working on consolidating our athletic handbooks along with input from our director, Carl Johansson. And purpose was to look at some consistency, efficiency, and ensuring there's an alignment between the middle school and the high school. And when I first came, we noticed they were a little bit different, and so that caused some confusion. So I'll turn it over to Chris and Justin and Carl if they want to add to that. But we just wanted to make you aware of the product, and I believe it's on page 6, and as an informational item to the board, so you're aware of it. This group has put in a lot of work, and it's gone through several revisions, but I think we have a great product that'll be helpful as far as communicating to parents and community members all the rules and regulations regarding athletics at the secondary level.
Well, first off, I'd like to thank Bob and Shannon because they helped do the proofreading and making additions and subtractions for this. And so Justin and I, back in August, decided we needed to kind of be consistent with the message we're sending about athletics and activities throughout the school district. And we worked on this throughout the year, and had a sports management intern help us kind of consolidate, take a look at other school districts, what they've done. And so we kind of came along with this. One thing that I'd like to kind of point out that we believe in is our mission statement for our athletic program here. That is Pullman School is committed to providing quality opportunities in education, athletics, and activities for all students while teaching the values of sportsmanship, teamwork, integrity, self-discipline, time management, responsibility, sacrifice, dedication, citizenship, and competition. So it's kind of a mission statement for us, but we also believe in the WIA core principles that we're kind of enforcing as well. And you can read those there when you have time. And that was helped with, thanks to Carl Johansson with that input as well with that.
Let me mention at the time that that's all I did was bring that material to them, so let's keep it up there where it belongs.
So, the core principles, I know by 2018, every school district in the state needs to kind of endorse this. And, I think Justin and I, from the activities for our students, kind of endorse that with what we're bringing along with them. So we just wanted to provide this to you guys for kind of information, and so that we're consistent throughout the whole district.
And I think that's the biggest piece, and is the consistency piece, so that our students and parents can, when they're in middle school, can get used to the process and the program, and then it's fluid into the high school as we go. And I gotta say, this was, kind of like Carl said, it's mostly Chris that has done the majority of this work, so I don't want to take very much credit of this either, but it's a great process. It's going to be great for our students and our parents to get used to this as they move through the program.
So, any questions? Yeah.
Well, a comment, I just think it's great to create that kind of seamless transition. I kind of skimmed through it and I noticed if somebody has a concern, it lays out sort of a chain of command, if you will, where first the student would take an issue up with the coach unless they didn't want to or didn't feel comfortable, and then it says go next to the athletic director. And I was wondering if that would create any confusion. Would everybody understand who the athletic director was at the separate buildings?
Yeah, and then we kind of listed it right here on the first page. I mean, even though we didn't put Justin as the athletic director, he's kind of introduced that as that at the middle school.
Okay,
So,
yeah, I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if that part would be crystal clear.
well, we
To-
can modify that,
We can
put
modify
assistant
that. That's
/AD.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
No,
that-
it's a great
Okay.
point. I
Yeah.
think we will change that because
Okay.
to clarify that.
Okay.
I think it's a great suggestion.
Okay.
So,
Thanks.
yeah. Any other questions, comments? No. Thanks.
I just want to thank you again, Chris and Justin and Carl and Shannon for helping with this product. It's kind of been on one of my wish lists, but I have many on my list. But it's nice to see actually something being accomplished and finished, so thank you very much.
And this will be on both our schools' websites
It's great.
and published at the schools. So,
Thank you, guys.
okay, thank you.
That completes it?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Appreciate that. Good report. The next item on our agenda is the consent agenda, and we use the consent agenda to expedite business at our board meetings. The board approves the use of the consent agenda, which includes items considered to be routine in nature. Any item which appears on the consent agenda may be removed from the consent agenda by any single member of the board and voted on separately. The remaining items will be voted on by a single motion. Is there anything on the consent agenda any board member would wish to pull?
I will move that the consent agenda be approved as presented this evening.
Okay,
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. It's been moved and seconded that the consent agenda be approved as presented. Tonight it includes minutes from our last meeting, overnight field trip requests, expense warrants, transfer requests, and personnel reports. Any further comments, questions, or discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as it was presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. That brings us to action items this evening. And the first item on our action item list is the Lincoln Middle School Club, and to present that is Dr. Maxwell.
Thank you very much, and I'd like to invite up Justin Polstad, to kind of refresh our memory on the discussion on this topic of switching from the Destination Imagination to the Ruby Goldberg Club. So I'll have Justin kind of give an update and maybe a quick review of our discussion last time.
Sure, yeah, so, actually, I think 2 times ago is when this first came up and we started discussing, the process of changing from Destination Imagination to Rube Goldberg. And we had some good questions and some good thoughts. And so came back and after researching some of those things and tried to find answers, presented that last meeting, discussed the positives of moving from Destination Imagination to the Rube Goldberg, where we talked about the funding, we talked about the recommendations from the elementary and from the high school, both supporting that change. Talked about the ease for volunteers, and still what a high quality program we can run going this route.
Is this pretty much an open club? It's just anybody can join then?
Yep, it's open. And another positive that I think we mentioned was that because of this, it's going to allow more folks to be able to participate because of the situation. Yeah.
It's awesome. Sounds like fun.
I would move approval of acceptance or the addition of the Rube Goldberg Club for the next school year at Lincoln Middle School.
I will second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the Rube Goldberg Club to replace Destination Imagination Club at Lincoln Middle School. Any further comments, questions, or discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of approving the Rube Goldberg Club to replace Destination Imagination Club at Lincoln Middle School, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Justin. We
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Yep.
That brings us to the next item on our action item list, which is summer activities insurance. And to present that is our Executive Director of Support Services, Dan Hornfeld.
Thank you. And Chris Maxwell, or Franklin, sorry, Chris Maxwell. Chris Franklin brought that to us at the,
It does look like my younger brother.
there is a resemblance. And so Chris Franklin would like to come up and present that. Thank you.
Like I presented last time, at the last school board meeting, all of our summer activities, whether it's soccer, whether it's band, we just require them to do, kind of get approval from you guys for their summer activities, whether it's summer weights, training, things like that. So just going back to those approvals and just like to get those approved.
I have one quick question,
Yeah.
because I don't remember. The coaches that are in charge of those activities, is that part of their stipend as a
No,
coach?
I mean, summer activities throughout the whole state is typically volunteer basis only.
Okay.
I mean, so, yeah, we don't pay them extra. It's just kind of part of their stipend,
Right,
so,
okay, thank you.
yeah.
Any further comments, questions?
Well, the weight room's the only one that is.
Okay.
The weight room's the only one we pay. So,
Further comments, questions, or discussion?
Aren't there fees for some of these camps?
as far as camps go, those go to a different, so like if they're going to the University of Idaho football
Oh,
camp,
yeah,
the
that's
families have to pay themselves. We don't pay those.
But like summer cheerleading practice or anything like that,
Not,
there's
not the
no-
practices or games
Wow.
or, it's just practices.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
no
neat.
fees.
Good for the. good
Isn't
for the-
there a fee, however, for weights?
Weights is,
Oh,
and
yeah,
that's
there
how
is.
we,
That
that's how
helps
we
go to
supplement the,
offset the supervision,
Yep.
which isn't necessarily a weights coach, but
it's just one of the
properly
teachers.
trained
All of our
supervisor.
coaches have been asked to volunteer, not volunteer because they can claim the hours, to work in the weight room during the summer and just to supervise the weights. So, and they can claim the hours for that. Yes.
Okay.
I will move that the board approve the 2016 summer activities as presented.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. The board approved the 2016 summer activities as presented. Any further comments, questions, or discussion?
Since I have you here, and this year is already planned, but as a time for next year, and I know it's a risk management activity. I mean, there are risk management considerations all the way through, but particularly in the weights and the open gym part of that. I have noticed in the past that there was a real positive benefit from having graduates back in the area that were, had opportunity to participate and mentor and so on. However, I know that it was often unofficial and created a risk management, a potential for risk. And knowing that there's a positive potential for that, I would like, and I'd volunteer to work with you because I work with possibilities that we could incorporate the not-for-profit insurance pool, which works with AAU and so on, to marry our risk management and something additional to have that, because it's really difficult for our returning athletes to get access. The Cub is closed for 2 or 3, I mean, the UREC is closed at both U of I and so on, and oftentimes up in Smith's Gym is closed, and those places have been also dedicated increasingly to specific teams. And I don't want us to have to go back to the days at Christmas when people were climbing up on the roof and then shinnying down on ropes to get into Smith's Gym, which I know of actually having had offspring participate in. But I would like to make our facilities at Christmas time much more available, if we could, to interested, particularly those that are within, still participating maybe in intercollegiate athletics, to come and.
Yeah, I mean, I think the risk management piece, as long as they're a approved volunteer through the school district, which, I mean, WIA rules say they have to be 19 years or older, to be approved volunteers, that would be the issue that would, I mean, some of those students returning might be only 18, so that gets us into that little bind of volunteers.
Even that would, is a positive word in my mind that we could work it with, that way if they were 19 and have them sign up to volunteer and participate and so on. So, okay, well, we'll explore that
We can,
even now.
we can look at that and talk to the risk management group to oversee that, yeah.
Okay, any further comments, questions, or discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of approving the 2016 summer activities as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Chris, much appreciated.
Thanks, Chris Franklin.
Yeah, the windows above Smith's Gym aren't barred very well, and so then you can skinny down a rope and get into the gym floor. The next trick is getting the lights on.
That brings us
Yeah, those
to
little
item C under our action items, which is the 2016-17 board meeting schedule. And to present that's our Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Maxwell.
Thank you. Yes, this was presented at our last meeting, a draft of the proposed school board schedule for your preview and review. So we're presenting that. I haven't received any feedback as to the calendar not working, but we'll present it as recommended and see where you'd like to go with that.
Any comments, questions, or discussion? I would entertain a motion.
I will move that the board approve the 2016-17 board meeting schedule as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the board approve the 2016-17 board meeting schedule as presented. Any further comments, questions, or discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of the standing motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
That brings us to item D under our action item list, which is the middle school social studies curriculum adoption. And to introduce that is our Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Maxwell.
Yes, thank you. At our last meeting, we had our middle school social studies teacher kind of give a presentation regarding the adopted materials, the process that they've been through. We have had those materials available at the district office for public review and or staff review as well. We've taken this to the CAC periodically throughout the year for updates. We would recommend the following be purchased for adoption and purchase for the upcoming school year.
Okay. Questions, comments, discussion?
I would like to comment that I really appreciate the thorough documentation of the whole process of this adoption. I think it's done very well.
Thank you very much. We tried to make sure it was a very transparent process. We actually updated our bias forms to the state recommended bias form. We had typically been using one that was quite outdated, and it was a good process for us to go through. And the team, I'll give the team a lot of credit. They put in a lot of work over the summer, the previous summer, looking into different materials and publishers. We spent a lot of time together in August and July. But I think we've come out with a really good, well thought through, and they've had a year to pilot the materials and receive training, and they're really happy with the product, and I think our students are as well.
So if we approve this, then we are approving the purchase of all these books?
Correct. We would go ahead and do this purchase, yes.
Okay.
We actually had 4 different options of purchases, but this is the one we landed on, so.
Any further comments, questions, or discussion?
I will move that we approve the middle level school, social studies textbooks recommendations as provided by the Curriculum Advisory Committee.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the Curriculum Advisory Council recommendation, approval of the above list social studies textbooks. Any further comments, questions, or discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of the standing motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Much appreciated, Bob.
Thank you.
Stay up there.
Yeah, I think I'm up for the duration of the rest of it, so this is your curriculum night, so, and coursework night, so.
So we have finished the action item list, and we're going to move on into our discussion item list. And these items will be discussed this evening and not voted on unless they are time sensitive. Then we can move them to an action item. But the first item is the business communication curriculum adoption recommendation. And Dr. Maxwell, take it away.
Yes, this is a slightly different curriculum adoption. This is for a CTE course, and so I do have Diana Gardner here tonight to help elaborate and present, so I'll invite her up as well, if she can correct me when I make any mistakes on this. But I want to thank her for all her work in taking a look at a replacement text for the business course, and the other textbook was quite old and outdated, and she spent quite a bit of time researching appropriate text for the course, and is bringing forward a proposal for the text that we will recommend, Professional Communication, published by Goodhart and Wilcox. And I'll turn it over to you if you want to add any. And she also brought a sample as well, so.
This is the book, and it's really well written. Each of the units of study within it, well, first of all, it covers everything. Writing, reading, speaking, listening, professional communication, all the way across the board. Everything is included. And each unit of study is directed at the CTE program and the Common Core curriculum, and it matches the framework perfectly. So at the end of every lesson, unit of study, it talks about the student learning organizations, and it gives activities that cover all of the types of learning. And I just really, really liked it. It also matches up with the precision exams, which we are using now for business communications. So there are 2 different exams that match up with the precision exams. And the layout is great, and I just was really excited when I found it. It's spot on.
Could you give the board a little explanation of the precision exams?
Yeah, the precision exams are exams that are set up so that students can actually take the exams and then be certified in a certain area. And they have them for all of the different CTE organizations, the career clusters, the 16 career clusters. And so the exams, they're like if you were to certify in Microsoft Word in the IT class that Mr. Willie teaches. Those are like that same type of certification. The kids can put that on their resume. They can take that when they go to college. If a course matches up with curriculum from a college in the articulation agreements, the precision exams are part of that.
Excellent.
Could you just give a brief overview of what business communication, like, do you need a prerequisite, or could it be?
Business communications, the way it's set up at Pullman High School is it's a senior English course. So it's another option. They can take AP English, so language, or World Lit. Juniors take American Lit, and then business communications can actually be used as an English senior credit, but it's offered through the Career and Tech Ed department, so it meets both criteria. And it entails reading, writing, speaking, listening. And the documents in business communication are just a little bit different because the rhetoric of business communications is based on persuasive writing for a reason, for a professional communication reason. So it's not creative writing, but it's writing to inform or persuade based on a business portfolio outlook. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's interesting. I knew nothing about it.
Further
Any other
comments, questions?
Again, I want to thank Diana. You want to pass the book?
Yeah. I
Um,
would love for you to look at it.
She's put in a lot of work, and I really appreciate all the work she's put into this. She did a great job coming to CAC and giving a presentation and updating us on the process throughout the year. And also, this textbook would be purchased from CTE funds, not curriculum material funds, so.
How many sections of this course?
Of business communications. It varies from year to year. This year, there was only one section. In 08, 09, 10, and 11, there were two sections of business communications. And over the last several years, just one.
Okay.
But full, 20, usually 24 to 28 or 30 students.
Thank you.
I noticed I noticed the material, there's a price, but, and then you'll purchase based on pre-enrollment or, because the price was listed just for one and.
Right, for this year, we're just going to purchase the 30 for the one section.
Okay,
And,
30.
and we could purchase more at a future date, and that will also include the internet materials, and the students will have the ability to log on from anywhere that they have access to a computer and have the textbook online also.
Excellent.
Does keyboarding play into any of this, or is it,
It really doesn't.
Okay.
Keyboarding was moved to Lincoln Middle School with John Willie when he took the digital framework information technology class to Lincoln Middle School. And really, their keyboarding is really not even a part of that. It needs to start at like the elementary level.
well,
Yeah.
I guess the reason I was asking, I'm on the WITCOM Board of Directors, and we were informed that a lot of the applicants for dispatch positions can't type at 50 words per minute, and that puts them out of the program. And because it's needed if they're going to do the dispatching quickly and efficiently, and so all of a sudden, you know, it kind of.
Well, and there
kicked in.
was a really noticeable gap in acquiring the keyboarding skills. When I was teaching information technology over the last few years, my actual objective for my teacher, I forget what it's called now, you know, where the principal comes in and observes you and you choose your goals of what you want your group of students to achieve. And I had actually charted on an Excel spreadsheet the typing skills and had compared like the 3 or 4 previous years prior to when they had stopped teaching keyboarding at the elementary school level, and those skills dropped drastically. The average speed of kids coming into a freshman information technology class was 26 words per minute. So, and I don't know that that's ever been resolved, that keyboarding issue.
Okay. Something we
I can speak to a little bit
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah,
Keyboarding without tears.
right, because I heard you talking about that
Yeah,
at the last meeting.
That's actually been a hot topic at our
Yeah.
CAC all year, and we are actually narrowing down on a typing program that would be available district-wide. And so we're working on narrowing our choices down. And, you know, we have been working on keyboarding at the elementary level because by 3rd grade on the state assessment, they have to type paragraphs. And so I think we'll see an upswing in speed in typing, but it's going to be, I think, a little bit of a time, evolving over time to have that happen. Also, it's I don't know how they do it, but a lot of kids, it's just amazing. They type so much on their phone with 2 fingers. I don't know how they do it, but they tell me it's more efficient. I just can't believe that, but maybe it's just my age. So, but it's definitely a changing time, and so we'll have to see how this proceeds. But we are working on a typing program for the district. So,
And just to confirm what you were talking about, in the business communications course, we work on computers. All of the documents are typed. They have to know how to keyboard.
Yes.
But then part of that is that in communication, there are barriers, and sending barriers are typographical errors. So if you're producing documents that are not being proofed and edited and grammatically correct and correct in the mechanics, that is a sending barrier that turns people off.
Oh, it's huge.
Employers will not even look at resumes if they aren't typed correctly
Yeah.
and edited. And so that is a big part of that.
Good.
While you're talking about keyboarding and typing, is it typing again? I hope it's.
sorry, it's
Keyboarding,
keyboarding.
it's
Sorry.
keyboarding.
Yeah, it's keyboarding.
Well, I thought for a brief moment there I was really with it, but I guess not. It's like you're calling it typing. What about cursive? Are we still teaching cursive?
Do you really want to go there? No,
You know,
yes,
had-
we
are.
still do handwriting without tears at the elementary level up
Okay.
through 4th grade.
No, but I had this incident where a Pullman High School graduate worked at Neil's Flowers, and a customer came in with a handwritten note of what she wanted for her order, and she could not read it.
Well,
I
maybe
mean,
it was
that's
bad
scary.
handwriting, though.
Yeah. No, it wasn't. That's the trouble. So I'm just out there.
Yes, most people today, adults, typically only use handwriting when they're signing a document, and that's all.
Yep.
So,
Fine,
but we still teach it, so
Okay.
Good.
they will learn cursive by 4th grade. So whether they choose to use it or not was another question. So,
Well, they don't have to use it, but they should be able to read it.
or I like the ones that use both,
Okay, fine.
cursive and printing at the same time. So.
Thank you.
We kind of got off subject
Sorry,
there.
sorry. Yes, we
Any
did.
other questions about the business communication curriculum? Okay, thank you very much. That brings us to item B under discussion items, which is course recommendations, Bridge to College. Dr. Maxwell.
Thank you very much. So in continuing with tonight's theme, I know we've already done the course approval for Pullman High School, but was also approached this year by Danielle DeMartin, who's here today. I'm going to invite her up. Danielle contacted me about applying for an I-grant for the Bridge to College course program, and I was very excited about that because I knew about the course but wasn't sure whether we would qualify, but she convinced me that we should try. And so I'll invite Danielle to come on up, or Joe to come on up.
I'm gonna go first.
All right. So anyway, Danielle, Joe, and I met, and I can't remember when, but we went through the application process, and I was very pleased that we did receive this grant. And this course is a specially designed course to reach a certain group of students. So we're excited about that, but then realized, oh, we haven't brought it to the school board for approval. So we're bringing that to you tonight to talk a little bit more about that, and I'll turn it over to Joe.
I thought that was a vacuum cleaner, it's just a water cooler. So before I hand this off to Danielle to give you kind of the scope and context of this course, I just want to give you a little bit of a backstory to this. One of the things we've noticed over the last several years, and Diana Gardner can attest to this because she has taught World Lit off and on for several years, is as seniors get to their senior year, they have these different options. There's business communications, which it's a broad spectrum, but it typically targets those kids who feel like they're not jumping immediately into college. They're probably going to the workforce initially out of high school. And then we have AP. So we have this group of kids kind of in the middle that are more likely than not college bound. But they don't really love language arts, because if they really loved language arts, they'd be in AP. So we have this cohort of kids, and it's still about reading. It's still about reading novels. It's still about analyzing those. And it's just with those group of students, this is a generalization, yes, but with those group of students, it's just a real struggle to get them to engage with the material, to really jump in and read it. Either they're not reading it, or they're just getting cliff notes to find out what's going on. And as we all know with reading and writing, if you really want to analyze reading, you've got to read it. So a couple years ago, give a lot of credit to the state of Washington, a couple years ago, in conjunction with the changing language arts requirement, the SBAC, and the L3, which is considered college and career ready, and then L2, there's a certain level of L2 where a student can graduate from high school, but they're not considered college and career ready. The state says, you know what, let's develop a curriculum that will help those, what they call high L2 kids, get those reading and writing skills up to the L3 level, and do some really, really intense intervention their senior year to get them to be ready for that next step, which might be a 2-year school, might be a 4-year school. So a year ago, last summer, one of our former teachers, Jennifer Hargrave, who's now up in the Davenport School District, was leaving us, going to Davenport, and Davenport said, welcome to Davenport. By the way, you're going to this workshop in Spokane, which is about this course. Davenport applied for the grant in the first round and got the grant. And Jennifer just raves about this course. She's teaching it currently to seniors up in Davenport. And she finds it to be an extremely engaging course for them in terms of the stuff that they get to read and the stuff that they get to write about. So Danielle had corresponded with Jennifer quite a bit this year, and when the grant opened up again this year with Dr. Maxwell's support, she applied for it, and we're very happy that she got it because we see this as an opportunity to take those seniors that historically, again, generalization, historically have been under-engaged with the language arts their senior year, and hopefully finding a way to infuse more energy and enthusiasm to get them to really engage with the reading and then springboard into some skill building with writing. So I'm going to hand this off to Danielle, and she can kind of give you an overview of what this course looks like.
Nice job, Joe. Thank you.
So the great thing about the grant for Bridge to College is it pays for the entire course. It pays for my training. It pays for any materials we need for the course. It pays for our collaboration because with this, they want you to collaborate with other Bridge to College teachers to enrich your practice and what you're bringing to your students. And so there are meetings, for me, presumably, it would be between teachers maybe in like the Clarkston area, Spokane, Davenport, that are all teaching Bridge to College. We meet up a couple times a year and kind of review what we're doing. So it covers the costs of all of that, which is wonderful. We wouldn't, as a school district, have any costs to pay for this course. The curriculum itself is really exciting. I took a day and was able to go up and watch Jennifer teach her Bridge to College courses, review the curriculum, talk through it with her and the training and kind of what her perspective was on it. Jen has taught 9 through 12. She taught the AP courses while she was here. She's a very skilled educator. And what she found is that the curriculum actually ties really well to similar skills as are in the AP language curriculum. Lots of rhetoric and writing, kind of that deep analysis that they need to do. And so what this course does is it targets, like Joe said, those kids that are kind of, they need some extra support, maybe to be college ready. And the curriculum is designed by community college professors and college professors around Washington State in conjunction with teachers for Washington as well, looking at Common Core standards and what colleges say their students are lacking and need more development in when they come into college for those first couple of years of English. And so they give you 13 different units you can choose from, and you teach 6 within a year. And there are 2, at the end, you usually teach 1 fiction book and 1 nonfiction book, and the rest of the year you're looking at nonfiction articles, teaching them how to read, how to kind of assess credible sources, that sort of thing. And they're on all sorts of different topics that are really engaging for students, like juvenile justice or inequities in the justice system, which are things kids really care about. And so they get to read about it, argue, discuss, write about it. Each unit is built in with a piece of writing, and our English department has decided that we think, kind of as a standard, every English class should teach at least 6 essays a year. And so this would fit along with what we already expect our students to do, so they'd still be writing 6 essays. I talked to her about those and kind of the quality of the essays too. Because one of the concerns that Joe and Bob had was, would this be a course that is rigorous enough for our students who maybe don't want to do the AP course but are not L2s, they're above the L2 on a state assessment. And so I asked Jen that. She said, oh yeah, everybody in Spokane that's teaching this course for school, they're all running it so that's L2s mixed with students who also scored higher on the Smarter Balance assessment as well. And they found the curriculum to be just as engaging and rigorous for those students because it has those kind of rhetoric elements in it. So it sounds like it's a great curriculum. She's willing to share supplemental things that she's worked on this year with me, talk through units with me and stuff this summer too to prepare to teach it. And then I would attend a training the first week of August. So you have to do training to be able to teach this course and get all the curriculum and all of that. But we're really excited about what it offers kids because aside from it being more engaging for them in the classroom, they have an agreement with the community colleges that if a student scores a B or better in this class, then they can go and they can skip their entry exams that they have to take for English courses, and they can skip any remedial English classes that they would have had to take as a result of scoring an L2 on the Smarter Balance. So it increases their chance of graduating from college, and it will save them money and time. So it creates really great opportunities for them. They're also currently working to expand this to four-year universities in Washington as well. They're hoping that that'll be ready by next year. So maybe not this next school year, but the following one. So yeah, I'm really excited about what it potentially offers students and the level of engagement it sounds like it offers them as well. And the texts too. I'm currently reading the different texts that I'm not familiar with, so that I can decide by August which ones we would potentially want to order. So we're proposing it as a pilot for next year to test it out and see how it goes compared to World Lit. I've also taught World Lit for 2 or 3 years, so I have also experienced the lack of engagement that sometimes seniors have with that lit heavy course, and they're not finding a lot of relevance in it, where this hopefully they would find much more relevance in the curriculum. So yes. Yeah.
Between the two of you, you already forecasted this as going to be available in anticipation of the grant, and have students signed up for it already, or would you reforecast some of the literature students into the pilot?
Seniors signed up for one of the 3 options, either business communications, World Lit, or AP. If we make this change, if it's approved, we make this change to Bridge to College, we'll inform them of this change and give them the option to move to one of the other courses. I'm going to guess, I'm going to predict they won't do that. They're going to look at the reading list, they're going to look at the type of stuff they get to do, and they're going to go, yeah, I'm in.
This is completely anecdotal, I realize that, but I've talked to I've had several of my past students. I have also taught 9th and 10th grade as well. So several of my students that are currently juniors that I had as sophomores have been asking if I'll be teaching senior English next year, and they're curious about what the courses will be that are offered. And so I've told them a little bit about, hey, we might offer this course, and this is what it would include. And the ones that I've talked to that are signed up for World Lit were really excited about what that sounded like and what it would offer them. But again, I know that's anecdotal and it's not looking at the whole class, but the ones that I've talked to have been pretty excited about it.
Well, I'll ask the question out of interest, and then also ask whether to speed that process up and communication before students hit the door on the 25th, that an extra couple weeks of, if the chair and would entertain it, whether approval of at least the pilot. We've already got the grant, and we've had a history of accepting grants that we've gotten and not turned them down, especially when they sound as enticing as this one. That would it be helpful to move up adoption by a couple of weeks or so?
Jill? Time sensitive?
That certainly would not hurt. For us to know before school ends that this is in fact the route we're going for next year.
And I'd be happy to, for students that are currently set up and enrolled for World Lit next year, to give them some of this. I'd probably shorten the document I put together, but give them some of that information too that they could take home and share with parents.
So this will be instead of World Lit?
Yeah.
And what typically books do they read in World Lit?
There's a bunch of short stories we do, and that's a mix of the world literature textbook we have, which is, they're not in great shape, but they work. And then a mix of things we've supplemented. And then we read Their Eyes Are Watching God. We read The Power of One. They do a book group where they pick a book from a AP reading list. So there are things like Catch-22 on there, Catcher in the Rye, housekeeping, and there's a huge list. And they pick and then in groups read those and do different activities with that. What else?
Hamlet.
Hamlet, yes, they read Hamlet. And that was one thing, this course doesn't offer a Shakespeare, and so I talked to my department about that, and would you be concerned if they missed out on a Shakespeare this year? But they weren't, based on the fact that they'll get Shakespeare other than junior year, other years of English and what the course offers instead.
So they get Shakespeare freshman and,
Freshman, sophomore year.
years.
Yeah, and then we were teaching, and then they'll get an AP if they.
and it mainly the classics sophomore year? Used to be.
Yeah, Julius Caesar is the Shakespeare that they read that year.
Oh, good. Everybody can run around going A2. Well, no, it just, but, okay. That's all. I just was wondering about exposing our kids
Oh,
to
the classics.
more.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the name Bridge to College, is that something we came up with, or is
That's
that
the state name. For
Okay.
This,
So,
there's math.
so it
British
would be
college.
recognized by colleges
Oh, yes.
in the state?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Because the name strikes me as somewhat less lofty than world
Yeah.
literature, but if
Just a
that,
little.
if that's what the next
Yes.
level is looking for, then I guess that's,
Yeah.
Well, again, I think this, actually the state has come up with this, and they also have a mathematics class that's Bridge to College. And when we were first looking over the grant, we went in and looked at our data on how many L2 kids do we have, and would we have even enough numbers to generate a class? And again, a lot of this was, again, engaging kids into this rather than having kids avoid it, and a way to also get them a little extra boost to say, yes, I can do college and I can go into college.
Oh, that is one other thing that I really love about this curriculum is there's a real specific focus on what they call habits of mind. That are really important for students to be successful at the college level, that they're seeing many freshmen come in without like perseverance, and how do you prioritize things when you have a ton of things on your plate, and metacognition, and so there are things built into the course to help them develop those skills as well, which I think is fantastic, so.
well, a comment as a board member is, we have been charged as school boards throughout the state to do things to actively encourage eliminating achievement gaps. So this is something that is,
It absolutely drove it right in.
it would be a very high priority, so I'm really excited about it. And then just anecdotally, I just recently finished a book by David Denby called Lit Up, One Reporter, Three Schools, 24 Books That Can Change Lives. I don't know if you're familiar with this. It would be fun summer reading, but basically Denby goes to various schools and watches how English is taught over the course of a year, to sophomores actually, and students at that grade level, the low engagement, the problem, many of them had never really even read a book, a novel, and various different theories about, well, how do you stimulate engagement? And some schools went the direction of encourage them to read anything, regardless of how trashy it is, just to get them to read a book. And, other schools, and different, it kind of weighs different approaches like that. But at the end, he concludes it's really superior teaching is where it's at. So I just want to commend you for being so interested in this process and wanting to do what it takes to engage students. It's
Yes,
wonderful.
definitely a passion. I'm really
Yeah.
excited about what this course offers. One of the books that is on the curriculum that I'm reading right now that I hadn't read before is called The Shallows, and it's a nonfiction book, and the author's writing about how the internet has changed our brain. And specifically, that is one of the huge reasons that students struggle with reading, so it'd be interesting to read that with them and discuss it, because the way they read text is much more, they skim it and they look really for that information that answers their questions, and they're not really interested in these long descriptions. And because our minds are so used to this information digging, we have trouble dealing with complex, long texts, and we don't have the focus to do it. And so that's what we're seeing in a lot of our students, because they've grown up
Yep.
with this sort of technology. So it's very interesting. But
Well, I would echo along with Allison, my appreciation that you're taking up the Hargrave McNeil mantle of interest in this cadre of students that we have, and it's a difficult focus in this district because of the emphasis in the community and within the school that everybody goes immediately to a four-year school, hopefully but one better than WSU. Those are the ones we venerate. So that this group is being addressed is of great, I'm enthusiastic to hear about it.
oh, that's wonderful. Well, thank you.
Carl, be careful, because both teachers you talk to have their
Well,
bachelor's degrees from
I
Washington
could have
State
made the same
University.
remarks when the two of you were up here. And
First
if
of
I
all,
skipped any other names,
I have a sidebar to mention about the rigor of this course, but I want to add to that before I go off on a tangent and say that I feel truly blessed that the English department at the high school, because they are constantly challenging themselves, challenging each other to get better and to look at different ways to meet the needs of kids. And Diana and Danielle are just two examples of that English department. The question about rigor for this course, I kind of sort of got a question coming up, but not that this is the be-all and end-all, it's just one indicator. But the NC2A, when the Spokane schools first submitted this course to the NC2A as an NC2A qualifier, the NC2A rejected it, because in my opinion, that's what the NC2A does. They just automatically reject everything the first time. But some staff in the Spokane schools kept going back at them and resubmitting it and doing some more, giving them some more information. And this course has now been accepted by the NC2A to meet that standard as a fourth year of English. So, I mean, that's one indication that it's going to be a pretty rigorous course and meet the needs of those students. Thank you. Good job.
And I'll just add, I think this is exactly what we were looking at, is how do we address that gap? And this was one gap that we were aware of and Danielle had pointed out. And so we spent time actually looking at data and numbers of students and the course. And so again, I appreciate her for her contacting me and say, I really want to do this and let's apply. And so I'm glad she talked me into it.
Come
Oh,
back
yeah,
and
absolutely.
tell us, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I would,
Thank
with
you.
your indulgence,
Just a
Permission?
second, I got to check with our superintendent and assistant superintendent. Any reason we wouldn't want to move this up?
I think it would help Joe in his scheduling, master schedule,
Okay.
so.
No, Carl, I'm ready.
okay. I'd move that we move the Bridge to College course pilot acceptance and the grant, tacitly, I guess, the grant acceptance to an action item.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to move the Bridge to College course to an action item this evening. Any further comments, questions, or discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of moving the Bridge to College course to an action item, please signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. Motion carried. So now it is an action item this evening, and I would entertain a motion to approve it.
I move approval of the action, as an action item, approval of the Bridge to College pilot course and the grant that's connected to it.
Okay, is there a second?
Second that.
Okay. It's been moved that we approve the additional course offering Bridge to College at Pullman High School for the 2016-17 school year and acceptance of the grant that's associated with it. Any further comments, questions, or discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of the standing motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Dr. Maxwell.
Thank you very much. We'll cash that grant now, so.
Okay. Very good. That concludes our discussion items for this evening. Of course, we'll bring the first item back next meeting for discussion, which was the business communication curriculum adoption recommendations. And that brings us to the 9th item on our agenda, which is executive or closed session. Some of this qualifies for each that we will have a brief discussion on this evening. I assume we'll take approximately half an hour for executive and closed session after the meeting. Would that be correct?
I think, yeah, 30 minutes, we should do it.
Okay, 30 minutes should do it. No decisions will be made, so if there's no objection, we will recess until we can enter into a closed and executive session. No objections, we are recessed until we can enter into a closed and executive session.